I messaged every player in the ATP and WTA Top 100 to see who would reply. Recently, I started a series called Baseline to Pro, where my goal is to get some ATP points, and I've seen in the comments a lot of you who have followed along are on a similar journey. So, I decided to ask every player the same question. What is the best piece of advice that you could give an aspiring professional tennis player? And hopefully, by the end of this video, we'll have a massive bank of tips and advice that will help both me and you get closer to our dreams. But there's a problem. The only way to get in contact with these pros is through Instagram DMs, and as someone who doesn't have a big following, getting my messages seen is going to be a challenge, and most likely they'll get lost forever in the black hole of message requests. So to ensure that I get at least one reply, I'm going to team up with one of the most well-connected people in tennis that I know, Johnny Delgado.
Hello.
Give us a 30-second backstory of how you have so many professional tennis players on your contacts on your phone.
Well, that's a tough one. I've been involved in tennis for the last 35 years of my life, so I've had a close contact with a lot of professional sports players. I used to work in sports management, so I was an agent for 4 or 5 years with Ace Group. So yeah, we managed professional tennis players. My brother was playing professionally, so I've got to kind of know quite a lot of people around the world that play tennis.
Decent. Thanks, Johnny.
No worries.
Who is your brother?
My brother's Jamie Delgado. He's coaching Grigor Dimitrov.
And he used to coach?
He coached Andy Murray for 6 years, and Gilles Muller. Yeah.
No, decent. All right, so we're going to find out who you have on your phone.
Okay.
And then we're going to message them.
Right.
Probably something along the lines of, what is the best piece of advice that they could give an aspiring professional tennis player? So
okay.
Like a junior or anyone who wants to become pro,
Yeah.
basically.
Yep.
My goal was to message as much of the top 100 as I could.
Right.
So we're going to see who you have, and then after we do this, I'm going to go home and message the rest of them and Instagram DM and see who replies.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
And then we can also have some wild cards as well if
Yeah.
you've got any good contacts that aren't currently playing
Okay.
on the top 100.
Okay. And what sort of questions are we looking to ask them?
All the same one, and see what all the replies.
Okay.
Okay. And
Yeah.
then we'll come back in like a week, and then we'll see.
Interesting. Yeah.
What the replies are, if we have any whatsoever.
Okay.
So, who do you have?
Who do I have? Not a huge amount, to be honest with you, but probably the most famous one would be Andy Murray.
Okay.
Travelled with him for a little period in the sports management days.
Yeah.
Obviously, Jamie Murray would be another one. Robin Hasse would be the Dutch player that I have. That would probably be about it, to be honest with you. Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to get them up then?
Yeah.
Message.
Yeah. So I have a coach with us at Bisham who is running a fantastic YouTube channel, and we are asking pros, what is your best advice for someone looking to play professional tennis? Okay.
Got one of those screens on it so you can't see.
Yeah. For people looking over my shoulder like that.
And then maybe say, if we send it,
Yeah.
have you told them that it's going to be going on YouTube?
No.
Okay.
They're unaware of any of this. Cam.
Okay, so maybe in the next section be like, he is planning on putting the replies in the video on the YouTube channel, on his YouTube channel. Let me know if you're up for this or something. And then maybe say something like, you can reply in any form you like, via message, voice message, or video, if you'd like.
There you go.
Cool.
Boom.
All right, done.
Yeah. Thanks, mate.
Okay, so I will see you next week.
Next week, yeah.
And see
Let's
if,
do it.
See if someone's replied.
Hopefully they've replied, yeah.
Absolutely not, mate.
Absolutely no way.
All right, it has been a week since we were last sending off messages together.
Yep.
And I have to say, I did not get through all 200 messages to the top 200.
Your job was harder than mine.
To 100 men and women, and I have not had any replies yet. So over the next week, I will be sending more messages and hoping that I at least get one reply.
Get to work.
But you, on the other hand,
Yep.
how have you been? Success?
So who did I message? I messaged 2 or 3 players, and we managed to get a couple of guys to respond with some good advice. The first one was a gentleman by the name of Jamie Murray.
Let's go. You replied?
Replied, yeah, which I'm more than happy to read out the response to you if you'd like. Some good stuff in there.
Okay.
Listen up. So he said, here's a Monday motivational message for you and your players, JD. My advice for aspiring pros is to keep your head down, work hard, and listen to the right people.
Cool.
And most of all, enjoy yourself, because it is a long journey and there will be lots of ups and downs, but it is a great one, and enjoy.
Nice. That's a very good, nice message.
Good.
Can't believe you actually responded.
Good. No, he's a good guy.
Okay, who else did you message?
Robin Hasse. So Robin was the top player in Holland for many, many years. 5 sets with Nadal on centre court Wimbledon. Number 33 in the world, I think, was his highest ranking. And his, I will play you his if that's all right.
Yep, go for it.
Let's give it a go. I thought it was quite a good one.
If you want to become a professional tennis player, I always tell people live the life with a lot of passion, because that way you will never see it as work but as a hobby, and every day you will go out there and do your best and work hard and be disciplined. The one thing that I would give you as an advice is gather the right people around you and listen to them, and also listen to your intuition, of course, but work as a team, because a team is always better and they will push you to be the best version of yourself.
This is really good advice, isn't it?
Yeah, good. Yeah, Robin's been around the block, so he'll understand what it takes.
Interesting how they both have similar ones, but get the right people around you.
Yep.
And try and don't listen to the wrong people.
Don't listen to the wrong people.
I guess the question comes in: who is the right people? Who is the wrong people?
And I think you'll find, obviously, when you get up to their level and they're playing Grand Slams and they're earning lots and lots of money, it's probably a lot easier to get a good team around you when you've got an not unlimited, but you have a larger budget.
Yeah.
So I think when you're starting off on the professional journey, it's surrounding people that you trust, that you've known for many years, and we've known you for many years. So I'd say you've got quite a few people here in your training base to try and help you.
Yeah. Thank you, Johnny.
Pleasure, Cam.
Did it take much persuading for them to do this?
I think they were pretty helpful. Yeah, I mean they'd always want to help out where they can, and they've been around the block many years.
Yeah, decent. All right, thanks, Johnny.
And I'm loving your channel, by the way.
Thanks, Johnny.
Keep it going, Cam.
Appreciate it.
Well done.
So Johnny managed to get 2 out of 3 replies with his messages sent, and I came away with a 0% success rate. Over the course of the next week, I continued to send out the messages with the hope of getting some more replies, but things weren't looking too promising until I got a notification. An account called Carew Doing Things commented on the video that I did with Simon, and I'm not going to lie, at first I thought this was a fan account for Carew from My Tennis HQ, but after looking a bit closer, it turns out that it was actually him. So I sent him a message and told him my plan for this video to see if he wanted to get involved, and he was totally up for it.
Hey bro, yeah, of course, I'm glad to help. Kind of tough to be honest, I have like one thing that you should focus on, but I'll give you a couple that I think are important. I think the first one, you really need to identify who you are as a player. What do you do to create pressure on the other side, right? We all have different skills, different athleticisms, just the way we play tennis is unique to ourselves. So you really need to figure out what it is that you do that will cause a lot of pressure on the other side, especially as you level up. You can see in the pros how, guys play completely different styles, but they're effective. Obviously, matchups matter, but I think sometimes we're training and we are a bit aimless with what we're doing, how we're developing our game. We might be doing something that completely doesn't, suit our mind and eye and style, just because maybe a coach is telling you to do that. You have to really be I'd say proactive about thinking, about your game and how you like to create, basically create pressure on the other side. Because if you can't create pressure, then you're sort of basically gambling that, the other player is going to make mistakes and all that. And that's just, as you level up, it's not going to happen. You look at the top pros, they all have weapons, right? And that doesn't mean just like a huge serve or a huge forehand. It means, you have a couple things like, great legs, and you can make a lot of balls. That in itself, it's pressure. Or, you obviously you have a great serve, and you can, the ball's away easy power. All of them have a combination of a couple things that they do really well, and obviously certain things that maybe they don't do as well, but they're able to hide it because they're playing their game. I think it's a lot about again, trusting your game versus maybe getting too worried about how to play each individual tactically. I think we get lost in that too. So I think that's a really important part that, I think for me took a while to figure out. I knew how I wanted to play, but maybe was getting the wrong information on how to do it up until recently. So I think that would be number one. And I think second, it's like, once you figure that part out, right, you understand how you want to create the pressure that you want to create on the court and all that, then I think you can start, doing some off-court stuff that will help with that. Like obviously the fitness part, I've been doing a lot of fitness recently, and it's been helping my game tremendously. I'm not even worrying too much about tennis. So, being incredibly fit, it's going to pay dividends on the long run. And obviously training your mind as well. Like it is a 24/7 job in a lot of ways, and obviously creating content and all that stuff can get in the way for sure. So if you can, really put the work, as much work as you maybe put in your tennis, on your fitness side, and on your mind, I think you'll be okay. And I think lastly, you got to look at, sometimes we get caught up in like numbers, right? Like what's my ranking? What's my this and that? And I believe in level, right? That's why I kind of I'm pro UTR, just because it's less about rankings, it's a bit more about level. And that number tells you who you are, as a player. And if you can start, taking to guys at that level and slowly progress, then I think you'll level up. So I think sometimes players tend to want to just beat guys that are way higher level, or play a lot of matches against guys that are higher level, because there's no pressure. But you need to be feeling pressure all the time. You need to be feeling the chaos, and you feel more pressure when you're playing guys around your level that you feel like you should beat. And so, play a lot of matches with guys around your level, and figure out how to, before you even worry about, getting an ATP point or something like that. I think that's really important.
All right, so that's really cool. So I think the two main points to take away from that is, he mentions pressure a lot. So it's how can you put pressure on your opponent, practice that over and over again. I think that's really important. And then making sure that your system of practice set up so that you can execute your way of creating pressure in a match situation when you're under pressure. And then obviously having practice so that you're in that pressure environment, so that when you're in an important situation in a match and it's a big point and you're playing someone that you think you should be, you're able to execute it. Because as he said, if you just keep playing people who are above your level, then there's no pressure there. And then when you go to a match and it's that key moment, you're probably not going to be able to execute it. So that's really cool. And so I obviously replied to him and I said that such good advice. Thanks so much for detailed answers. And then he gave me some more stuff in the message. So I'll just read that out to you. So he goes, one last thing. Get really good at serve and return. Start the point with higher quality more often than your opponent. And that doesn't mean hitting aces, return winners, but it means setting up the point to be played your way. Everyone can hit the ball. It's not that hard. And then he goes, I can lose to an 11.5 UTR in the baseline game, but not when serve and returns are in play. And then I think that's so interesting, because I've never heard someone of that level say that before. And I told him that I think that's what's held me back in the past. And I said, it's interesting to hear him say that. I remember when I was younger, I used to be confused because I'd play people who were much higher UTR rated out the hand from the baseline and beat them fairly comfortably. But when I got to a match situation, playing lower UTR ranked players in tournaments, then I would lose and I wouldn't really be sure why. And he said that anyone can beat anyone in a baseline game. It's not really tennis. Once you add the serve and return, that's when the stuff gets really real. And if you can maintain pressure early on in a point, everything is easier. Once a point goes long, it's 50-50. So I think that's so important. So the three main takeaways are obviously the stuff that you said about pressure, putting a lot of effort into your fitness, and then really making sure you're good at serve and return and starting the point well, because that's what's going to really help you excel. All right, so Karoo actually isn't the only tennis YouTuber that I messaged to be a part of this video. I also messaged Felix from Tennis Brothers. And Felix and I knew each other from a few years ago when we used to compete on the British Tour circuit quite a lot of times. And we actually played each other in a match, which didn't go very well for me. But Felix, if you're up for a rematch, I'll be down any time, so just let me know.
Hey Cam, yeah, so The one piece of advice I'd give to kind of aspiring pros would be, number one, set a goal. Where do you want to be? What's your tennis dream? For me, that's playing on the ATP tour, competing in Grand Slam tournaments. But obviously that's individual to each person. I then say try and set a plan for how you're going to achieve that. Are you going to do that via going to an American college? Are you going to go straight to pros? Depending on what stage of your tennis career you're in, are you going to play ITF juniors? And then the third thing is work really hard every single day and trust the process. You know, there are going to be times where you're down, it's really tough. For example, I had an injury on my elbow. That was a time where I really felt, even in the months afterwards, that I wasn't improving in level and I wasn't going to get back to where I was. And now I kind of look back at that and say, well, I'm glad I stuck through the tough times. I'm glad I trusted the process, because now I'm in a much better position because of it. So I'd say to any aspiring pro, the process is going to be hard, it's going to be tough, there are going to be things that knock you down, but you've just got to get back up. And I know it sounds a bit cliche, but keep pushing through, because sometimes in tennis you put loads and loads of work in and you don't see the results initially, but in the long term you will improve very, very fast. And the other piece of advice I'd give is to, make your sessions count, make your practice sessions count. I mean, I see so many players hitting so many balls day in, day out, and not really taking care for what they're doing. Have a focus when you go into a session. What do you want to work on? And the only thing that matters is how much you've been able to work on that. If I want to work on forehands, let's say, and I hit 100 forehands, whether they're good or bad, I can come out of that session saying, look, I've improved as a player, I've hit more forehands and I achieved that goal. And that also means that you don't come out of sessions feeling upset or annoyed, basically, with how you played. If you're like judging your tennis session by whether you won or lost the practice points at the end, you should be judging it based on how many repetitions you've got in of the shot you want to work on, or the tactic you want to work on, or the mindset you want to have, how well you adapted during the training session. Those are the things that are going to improve you as a player, as opposed to, oh well, this whole last week I've won my practice points at the end of the session, or I won the set in practice. That's not a metric that you should really be measuring. That's what I'd say. And yeah, have fun along the way. That's the most important thing as well. Smile, have fun on the court. Make sure that if you are being a bit burnt out, you take a rest, take a step back, and yeah, have fun.
All right, again, that's some really, really good advice there. I can completely relate to what Felix is saying when he talks about his elbow injury, because I had the same feeling when I was coming back from my heart stuff. Also, the stuff that he was saying there at the end about how you shouldn't judge your practice sessions with winning or losing points, or winning a practice set or losing a practice set. You should judge it on how well did you execute what you wanted to achieve in that session. Like he said, whether it's the forehand or the backhand, it doesn't matter if you lose or win those points. It's how well you did to try and get that shot better. And if that means that you lose in practice, and probably means that you end up winning down the line in future tournaments. So that is all the replies that I got. And I just want to say a big thank you to everyone that got back to me. This was an incredible video to make, and it was really cool to get advice from so many different people, so many knowledgeable people in tennis, and to be able to share that with all of you guys watching is just such a cool thing to do. If I get some more replies, I'm going to make a part 2. So tag your favorite player in the comments, share it on Instagram, do whatever you can to get this video out there, so that maybe those pros will go look at their messages in their Instagram DMs, and then we can make a part 2 and I'll share some more replies with you guys. But thanks for watching, and yeah.